interest and solidarity. Nature is sending urgent signals. People and countries are threatened as never before. We have to do as science dictates. We must protect the planet that sustains us. For that, we need all our hands on deck. Over the past 9 years, I have traveled to the climate front lines. I have talked to world leaders, and I have engaged the private sector and civil society and many people of vulnerable groups. I have worked to raise awareness of the dangers of the warming world and immense opportunities of a clean energy, climate-resilient future. Your leaders have listened. They came in unprecedented numbers to the beginning of this conference and have given their clear instructions. They want a flexible, robust, meaningful, universal agreement that will help us rise as one to the climate challenge. The issues are many and complex, but we must not let the quest for perfection become the end of the public good. Today, I ask you, I honestly appeal you to continue in the same good spirit of compromise that has characterized the discussions of the past 2 weeks. I count on developed countries to provide financial resources for mitigation and adaptation, and to embark decisively on a low emissions pathway. And I ask all developing nations to play an increasingly active role according to their capacities. I commend you all for submitting your national climate plans. The solutions to climate change are on the table. They are ours for the taking now. Let us have the courage to grasp them. Later today, to celebrate an agreement that will offer new hope for safety, prosperity, and happiness for all on a healthy planet. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Maintenant, la parole est au président de la République française.
I now give the floor to the President of the French Republic.
Monsieur le Secrétaire général.
Mr. Secretary General of the United Nations, dear Ban Ki-moon, I know how persistent you have been in these last few months to make it possible for us to meet here in Paris with the possibility of reaching an agreement. Mr. President of the conference, esteemed Laurent Fabius, throughout the past months and even more in the past days, you've played a considerable role to try to bring points of view closer together and to reconcile what sometimes seem to be irreconcilable. But that is the very meaning of a universal agreement. Madam Executive Secretary, I know what you have also done so that delegates could play their role fully, because you were attached to this idea, this beautiful idea, that the international community can act. Ladies and gentlemen delegates, you have worked very hard, and I want to express France's gratitude for the discussions which you have conducted here in Paris, day and night, and sometimes more during the night than in the daytime, in order to seek out an agreement which as yet had not been reached. All these efforts must now arrive at a conclusion. What would all this shared time, these multiple initiatives, the will expressed by all continents, what would be the purpose of all this work if it were not to result in a universal agreement which is differentiated and legally binding? Now, We are at a decisive moment in time. There's only one relevant question, and you are the only ones who can answer it. Do we want an agreement? An agreement which did not see the light of day in Copenhagen. The gridlock, which for years was a great source of disappointment for all those who wanted the planet to have a future. This gridlock, which shed a pall or cast a pall of doubt on the international community. But it is you and the work you have done over the past months and past days. It is you and you only who have the answer to this question. We have to take that last step, the step that would enable us to reach our goal. And this would be a decisive step. The text which has been prepared and which has been submitted to you is ambitious, but it's also realistic. It reconciles responsibility, and especially that of the richest countries. Yet at the same time, it also includes differentiation. It gives the most vulnerable and developing countries the means they have been promised. It sets revision or review mechanisms which are essential for credibility of such an agreement. This text will, if you should so decide, be the first universal agreement of history in climate negotiations. You will make a choice for your country, for your continent, but also a choice for the world. This will be a major leap for mankind. That is why, at this point in the negotiations, this final stage of the negotiations of the end of the conference, I ensured that I could be here with you, because I am a depositary, as you are, of the mandate which was entrusted by the 150 heads of state and government, which came at the beginning of the conference to bring their commitment to ensuring that there would be an agreement reached in Paris, and also to have one with ambition to maintain the objective of 2 degrees and to do everything possible to reach only 1.5 degrees, because this is our responsibility. It is a decisive matter, because warming that goes beyond this could have a very serious impact on the various balances on our planet. To reach this, we have set other meetings to review other international contributions and different types of financing. As said by the COP president, the agreement will not be perfect for anyone if everyone reads it with only his or her interests in mind. But it will be a success for everyone, because what brings us here together is the planet itself. Faced with climate change, we have a common destiny. Each person has his or her constraints, and I am very well aware of this. But the only thing that now matters is to be right all together. All the imperatives could not possibly be satisfied.
You are watching the live broadcast from the Paris Climate Summit. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon speaking before French President François Hollande. United Nations Secretary General there saying that, of course, developing countries and developed countries must understand their responsibilities, and of course that he was counting on both of them after nearly 2 weeks of intense negotiations there at the Paris Climate Summit. The deal is expected shortly, and officials from 195 nations have been seeking to resolve the final sticking points there. We'll of course keep tracking developments from the Paris Climate Summit and bringing you the live broadcast from there. Going in for a short break at the moment.